Good afternoon, everyone. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, in a bustling company filled with eager minds and ambitious goals, there was a boss who had a curious reputation. Employees called him the Vault not because he kept secrets, but because every time someone asked him a question, he rarely, if ever, answered it directly. A leader who answers questions creates dependence. A leader who asks questions creates leaders. It seems like such a simple concept, yet it strikes at the very heart of what it means to lead. In every organization, every family, every team, there's an underlying tension. How much do you give? And how much do you let others figure out for themselves? It's natural to want to provide answers. When someone comes to you in need, it feels good to solve their problem, to offer clarity, to be the expert. But every time you solve someone's problem for them, you're training them to come back to you. Think about the implications. If every team member feels like they need your guidance at every step, what happens? You become the bottleneck. Progress slows down, and your team grows increasingly dependent on you. Your capacity is overwhelmed, and their ability to act independently withers. This dynamic doesn't just hinder productivity, it stifles creativity and innovation. When people are handed answers, they don't learn to think critically or develop confidence in their ability to tackle challenges. Over time, they begin to doubt themselves, falling into the habit of deferring rather than deciding. Now, contrast that with what happens when you lead by asking questions. When someone approaches you with a problem and you respond with, "What do you think?" you might initially meet resistance. It's a lot like going to the gym for the first time. The weight feels too heavy, the process frustrating, but just as muscles strengthen with effort, so too do people grow stronger when they're allowed to wrestle with problems themselves. Asking questions forces them to engage, to dig deeper into the problem, and to explore solutions they might not have considered before. Over time, something transformative occurs. The person who once looked to you for every answer begins to rely on their own judgment. Their confidence builds as they realize that their ideas, their solutions, can work. What's more, they start to take ownership of their work in a way they never did before. Ownership breeds responsibility, and responsibility inspires commitment. It's not just about teaching someone to solve problems, it's about creating an environment where problem solving becomes second nature. This doesn't happen in a vacuum. It requires trust. By consistently asking questions rather than providing answers, you send a powerful message: I trust you to figure this out, and trust is a profound motivator. It tells people they're capable, that their insights are valued. But trust alone isn't enough. As a leader, you also have to create the conditions for people to succeed when taking on this responsibility. That means giving them the tools, resources, and context they need. If someone doesn't understand the broader vision or doesn't have access to the information that would allow them to make an informed decision, then asking, "What do you think?" might feel less empowering and more like setting them up for failure. Leadership, in this sense, is about balance. It's knowing when to step in to guide and when to step back to let others lead. What's remarkable is how quickly this approach cascades. When a team member learns to think critically because you encourage them to, they don't just stop at solving their own problems, they start helping their peers. They pass along the confidence you gave them. Teams like this don't just thrive, they evolve into dynamic, self-sustaining ecosystems where ideas flourish, challenges are embraced, and every individual becomes a contributor to collective success. It's important to recognize that this method of leading doesn't always yield immediate results. There will be setbacks. People will make mistakes. They might even return to you after trying and say, "I don't know the answer." And that's okay. Those moments are opportunities to ask more questions, to guide them gently toward clarity without robbing them of the chance to figure things out for themselves. Patience becomes your most powerful tool. There's also the very human aspect of this approach: respect. By asking rather than answering, you acknowledge that the other person has ideas worth exploring. You validate their experiences, their knowledge, and their perspective. It's an act of humility, a way of saying, "I don't have all the answers, but I believe in you enough to find them." That's leadership at its core, not just steering the ship, but teaching others to navigate. When leaders adopt this mindset, they not only foster individual growth, but build teams capable of resilience and adaptability. It's not about creating followers who need constant direction, it's about cultivating thinkers who thrive in uncertainty and complexity. Because in an ever-changing world, the ability to think critically and act decisively is far more valuable than simply knowing the answer. Empowering others means trusting them to find their own solutions. On the surface, it might sound straightforward, almost intuitive. But when you unpack the layers of what this really requires, it becomes clear why so many leaders struggle with it. Trusting someone to find their own solution means letting go of control, relinquishing the instinct to micromanage or dictate outcomes, and stepping back so they have the space to grow. It is both a practice in leadership and a leap of faith, and it can feel uncomfortable, especially in situations where the stakes are high and failure feels costly. When we talk about empowering someone, we often frame it as giving them power. But real empowerment is about showing people the power they already have. It's not something external that you hand out like a tool or a gift, it's something internal you help them discover. This shift in mindset changes everything, because instead of trying to mold someone into who you think they should be, you're encouraging them to become the version of themselves they're capable of being. You're enabling them to step into a space of capability, ownership, and responsibility. To empower someone in this way, you first need to trust their abilities even when they might not trust themselves yet. Think about the act of trust for a moment. When you trust someone to figure things out, you're saying, "I believe in you." That belief is transformative. People rise to the level of expectation you set for them, and if they sense that you have confidence in their potential, they begin to have confidence in it too. It's a powerful cycle. The more trust you place in them, the more they feel emboldened to rise to the occasion. However, trusting someone to find their own solution also requires a level of discipline on your part. It's easy to want to intervene, to steer the process, to provide the answers. After all, stepping in feels efficient. You likely have more experience, more knowledge, and a clearer view of what the solution might look like. But stepping in often robs others of their chance to learn and grow. The moment you jump in and dictate the answer, you disrupt the development process. You might solve the problem in the short term, but you've inadvertently sent the message that their thinking isn't good enough. It's important to understand that trusting others to find their own solutions doesn't mean abandoning them or leaving them without guidance. It's not about throwing someone into the deep end of a pool and hoping they learn to swim. Instead, it's about giving them the tools and support they need while allowing them to navigate the situation in their own way. This can take many forms. Maybe it's helping someone frame the problem, providing key context, or sharing resources they can draw on. But ultimately, the solution itself has to come from them. That's where the real empowerment lies. One of the greatest challenges in trusting someone to find their own solution is the patience it requires. Solutions arrived at independently often take longer than those dictated from above. It's easy to become frustrated when someone struggles or takes a path that seems less efficient. But those struggles are often where the learning happens. Every misstep or dead end teaches a lesson that they carry forward into future challenges. These lessons build confidence and resilience. The next time they encounter a similar problem, they're less likely to come back to you for answers because they've already developed the capacity to solve it themselves. There's also a deeper emotional dynamic at play. When you trust someone to find their own solution, you're showing them respect. You're acknowledging their intelligence, their creativity, and their ability to handle responsibility. People crave this kind of recognition. When they feel respected, they're more engaged, more invested, and more motivated to do their best work. Empowerment, in this sense, isn't just about problem solving, it's about creating a sense of partnership and shared purpose. Another critical aspect of this trust is accepting that failure is a part of the process. When you give someone the autonomy to solve a problem, you have to be prepared for the possibility that they won't get it right the first time. Failure, however, isn't the end of the road, it's part of the journey. When someone fails and learns from the experience, their growth is far more meaningful and lasting than if they had followed a prescribed answer without fully understanding the reasoning behind it. Empowering others also has a ripple effect. When one person gains confidence in their ability to solve problems, that confidence spills over into the team. Others begin to see what's possible for themselves. Teams that operate with this level of trust are more collaborative, creative, and resilient. They stop relying on a single leader for direction and begin relying on each other. This dynamic creates a culture where challenges aren't something to avoid, but something to tackle head-on with a shared sense of capability. Trusting others to find their own solutions is a practice that pays dividends not only for the individual, but for the entire organization or group. It shifts the focus from immediate results to long-term development, from dependency to empowerment, and from control to partnership. The results may not always be immediate, but over time, this approach builds something far more valuable than any single solution. It builds people who are ready to lead. The goal of leadership is to make the room smarter, not to be the smartest in the room. Leadership is often misunderstood as a platform for showcasing one's expertise. Too many leaders feel that their worth is tied to being the most knowledgeable person in the room, the one with all the answers. This misconception is driven by ego and fear, the ego that craves recognition, and the fear of seeming less capable if they don't have all the solutions. But true leadership transcends individual brilliance. It is not about how smart you are, it is about how effectively you can elevate the intelligence, capability, and potential of the people around you. A room that becomes dependent on the intelligence of one person is a room that cannot thrive on its own. It's fragile, easily disrupted, and reliant on the continued presence and input of its supposed smartest member. Imagine what happens when that individual is no longer in the room. The team falters, decisions stall, and progress grinds to a halt. In contrast, a room filled with empowered individuals who feel confident in their own abilities can function dynamically and independently. When everyone feels they have something valuable to contribute, collective intelligence flourishes. Making the room smarter begins with a mindset shift. It requires stepping away from the pedestal of authority and embracing the role of facilitator, mentor, and coach. This isn't about relinquishing your expertise, but rather using it strategically to enable others to grow. A leader who makes the room smarter recognizes that intelligence isn't a finite resource. It's not something that diminishes when shared, it expands. When you openly share knowledge, ideas, and strategies, you create an environment where others feel encouraged to do the same. Knowledge multiplies as it moves freely among the group. To achieve this, a leader must listen more than they speak. Listening is a profoundly underrated leadership skill. When a leader listens with intention, they uncover hidden talents, innovative ideas, and perspectives that might otherwise go unnoticed. People feel seen and valued when they know their voices matter. This, in turn, fosters a culture of collaboration and mutual respect. By listening, you set the tone for a room where everyone feels safe to share their thoughts and insights. Another key component of making the room smarter is asking the right questions. Great leaders are not defined by the answers they provide, but by the questions they ask. Thoughtful, open-ended questions spark curiosity and push people to think more critically. Instead of telling someone what to do, asking, "How do you think we could approach this challenge?" or "What are your thoughts on the best solution?" ignites a deeper level of engagement. Questions like these invite exploration, creativity, and problem solving, making the conversation not about what the leader knows, but about what the group can discover together. It's also crucial to create an environment where people are encouraged to take risks and learn from their experiences. If the leader is always the smartest person in the room, others may feel too intimidated to contribute or try new things. They might fear making mistakes or looking foolish in front of someone they view as superior in knowledge or skill. A leader who actively works to make the room smarter dismantles this hierarchy. They create psychological safety, a space where it's okay to fail, to voice unconventional ideas, and to challenge the status quo. This is where innovation happens. When people feel free to experiment without fear of retribution, they unlock new ways of thinking that enrich the entire team. Empowering others doesn't mean stepping aside or diminishing your own contributions as a leader. It means recognizing that your role is to enable others to shine. This requires humility. It's about recognizing that the brilliance of a team doesn't rest on any one individual, but on the collective power of the group. A truly great leader takes pride not in their own achievements, but in the successes of those they've helped to develop. This approach also demands patience. Making the room smarter is not an instantaneous process. It takes time for people to grow into their potential, to build confidence, and to trust their own abilities. There will be moments when the room feels chaotic, when decisions take longer because more voices are being included, when mistakes are made as people navigate new levels of responsibility. But these moments are part of the process, and a good leader recognizes their value. Mistakes are not just setbacks, they are opportunities for growth and learning. Perhaps one of the most rewarding aspects of making the room smarter is the ripple effect it creates. As people grow under your leadership, they carry that growth into their interactions with others. They pass on the lessons they've learned, the confidence they've gained, and the skills they've developed. In this way, a single leader's commitment to empowering their team can impact far beyond the immediate room. It contributes to a culture of shared intelligence, resilience, and adaptability that extends throughout an organization. Leadership that focuses on making the room smarter changes the very nature of power. It shifts power from being something concentrated in the hands of one person to something distributed among many. This distribution doesn't weaken the leader's role, it strengthens it. By enabling others to succeed, a leader becomes the catalyst for collective progress, driving results that no one individual could achieve on their own. Growth happens when people are challenged, not when they're given easy answers. This statement captures an essential truth about human nature and development. Challenges, by their very nature, stretch people beyond their comfort zones. They require effort, creativity, persistence, and most importantly, self-reliance. When people are consistently given easy answers, they lose the opportunity to build these traits. They become passive recipients of solutions, rather than active participants in finding them. The process of growth is rarely smooth or linear. It involves discomfort, uncertainty, and at times failure. But these are the moments where the most profound learning takes place. Consider how muscles grow. They require strain, resistance, and micro-tears to rebuild stronger than before. The same principle applies to mental and emotional growth. Without challenges, people stagnate, operating only within the limits of what they already know. Challenges force individuals to step into the unknown and confront their fears of failure, inadequacy, or rejection. Providing easy answers, while it might feel helpful in the moment, denies people the opportunity to engage with challenges fully. It sends an implicit message that they cannot figure it out on their own, eroding confidence over time. More importantly, it conditions them to become dependent on external solutions, weakening their ability to navigate complexity independently. A leader's job is not to shield others from challenges, but to guide them through those challenges in a way that fosters growth. Challenges encourage problem solving and critical thinking. When faced with a problem, people are required to assess the situation, gather information, weigh options, and make decisions. This process strengthens cognitive abilities and equips individuals to handle similar situations in the future with greater competence. Easy answers bypass this valuable exercise entirely. They may resolve the immediate issue, but they do so at the expense of long-term development. The individual misses the chance to build the mental muscles needed for independent decision-making. In addition to honing intellectual abilities, challenges cultivate emotional resilience. When people face obstacles, they encounter stress, frustration, and sometimes even failure. These experiences, while uncomfortable, teach perseverance. They demonstrate that setbacks are temporary and that effort leads to progress. Each time someone works through a challenge, they build confidence not only in their skills but also in their ability to withstand adversity. This resilience becomes a foundation for tackling larger and more complex challenges in the future. For growth to occur, however, challenges must be presented in the right way. A challenge that is too overwhelming can lead to discouragement, while one that is too easy fails to inspire growth. The sweet spot lies in creating opportunities that are difficult enough to stretch someone's abilities but achievable enough to maintain their motivation. This is where leadership plays a critical role. A good leader knows how to tailor challenges to the individual, providing the right balance of difficulty and support to maximize growth. Support is an essential aspect of presenting challenges effectively. Encouragement, guidance, and feedback ensure that individuals do not feel abandoned or lost in the face of difficulty. Support doesn't mean solving the problem for them. It means equipping them with the tools, resources, and confidence they need to work through it themselves. The right kind of support fosters autonomy and ownership, both of which are vital for true growth. Challenges also inspire creativity. When people are confronted with something they've never faced before, they are forced to think outside the box. They explore untested approaches, take risks, and innovate. These creative problem-solving experiences not only lead to immediate solutions, but also broaden their thinking in ways that apply across all aspects of life and work. Easy answers, in contrast, stifle this process. They close the door on exploration and encourage conformity rather than originality. Another significant benefit of facing challenges is the lasting impact they have on confidence. There is a distinct sense of accomplishment that comes from solving a tough problem or overcoming a significant obstacle. That feeling of "I did it" becomes a powerful motivator. It reinforces a person's belief in their own abilities and encourages them to tackle even bigger challenges in the future. Over time, confidence becomes less tied to external validation and more rooted in a person's own experiences and capabilities. Leaders who understand this dynamic resist the temptation to make things easy for others. They recognize that growth is not about giving people what they want in the moment, but helping them become what they are capable of in the long run. This requires patience, a willingness to let people struggle, and the ability to see potential in others even when they don't yet see it in themselves. Leaders committed to fostering growth create an environment where challenges are embraced as opportunities, not avoided as obstacles. They celebrate effort and progress, not just outcomes, and they encourage people to push beyond what they think they can do. Through challenges, people discover more about their strengths, weaknesses, and values. They gain clarity on what truly matters to them and learn how to persevere through difficulty with purpose. Growth through challenge ultimately leads to transformation, not just in skill, but in character. Leadership is about inspiration, not control. At its core, leadership is less about power over others and more about the ability to create a vision that excites people, motivates them, and drives them to take action. Control often stems from a desire for predictability and a fear of uncertainty. It is rooted in the belief that the leader must micromanage every detail to ensure success. Inspiration, on the other hand, is about trust, empowerment, and the recognition that greatness comes not from a single person's control, but from the collective energy of those who are aligned toward a shared purpose. When leaders rely on control, they often create a stifling environment. People feel boxed in, their creativity and autonomy diminished by rigid rules, endless approvals, and constant oversight. In such an environment, the focus shifts from achieving meaningful goals to simply avoiding mistakes or meeting the minimum requirements. This limits not only the potential of the individual, but also the potential of the entire team or organization. Control restricts possibilities because it prioritizes compliance over innovation, fear over trust, and short-term order over long-term growth. In contrast, an inspiring leader creates a sense of freedom. They communicate a clear and compelling vision that people want to be part of. This vision is not imposed from the top down, it resonates deeply with the values and aspirations of the individuals in the group. It speaks to something greater than personal ambition, connecting people to a larger purpose that gives their efforts meaning. Inspiration, in this sense, is not about enforcing alignment, it's about evoking it naturally. When people feel inspired, they don't need to be told what to do, they find their own ways to contribute because they believe in the cause and want to play a role in its success. Inspiring leaders also create environments of trust. They understand that people need the autonomy to explore their potential and discover their own solutions. Instead of dictating every step, they provide the framework and resources needed, and then they step back, allowing individuals to make decisions and take ownership of their work. This trust empowers people to take risks, try new things, and push boundaries. They become not just task doers, but creators, innovators, and drivers of progress. Inspiration goes hand in hand with authenticity. People are drawn to leaders who are genuine, who speak and act in alignment with their values, and who are not afraid to show vulnerability. Authentic leaders do not pretend to have all the answers, they acknowledge their limitations and actively seek the input of others. This openness fosters a sense of connection and humanity. People don't just follow such leaders because of their title or position, they follow them because they feel understood, valued, and believed in. Inspiration arises from this relationship of mutual respect and shared purpose. Control, on the other hand, is often accompanied by fear of failure, fear of losing authority, or fear of uncertainty. This fear can lead leaders to impose unnecessary rules, tighten their grip on processes, and discourage independent thought. It creates a culture where mistakes are punished and innovation is stifled because people are too afraid to step outside the lines. Fear might drive compliance in the short term, but it never produces genuine engagement, creativity, or long-lasting success. Inspiring leaders recognize that failure is not the opposite of success, but an integral part of it. They embrace the reality that progress often involves missteps, experimentation, and lessons learned along the way. Instead of controlling outcomes to avoid failure, they encourage people to see challenges as opportunities for growth. By doing so, they build resilience and foster a culture where risks are taken not recklessly but with confidence and purpose. Another hallmark of inspiring leaders is their ability to connect on an emotional level. Inspiration isn't about facts, figures, or perfectly crafted arguments. It's about tapping into the heart of what matters to people. Effective leaders communicate with passion and conviction, sharing stories, experiences, and ideas that resonate on a human level. They don't try to motivate others with incentives or threats alone. Instead, they ignite an internal drive by showing people why the work they do matters and how it makes a difference. This emotional connection creates a ripple effect. When people feel inspired, they become sources of inspiration themselves. They carry that energy into their interactions with others, spreading enthusiasm, optimism, and a sense of possibility. In this way, inspiration doesn't stop with the leader. It grows and multiplies, creating a culture where everyone feels motivated to give their best and contribute meaningfully. This inspiration also has the power to transcend obstacles. In difficult times, a leader's ability to inspire can be the difference between giving up and pressing forward. Challenges that might seem insurmountable under the weight of control can feel energizing when approached with inspiration. People rally around the vision, drawing strength from their shared purpose and the belief that together they can achieve something extraordinary. Inspiration shifts the dynamic of leadership. It transforms the relationship between leader and team from one of authority and obedience to one of partnership and shared commitment. Instead of demanding effort, it invites it. Instead of mandating compliance, it fosters creativity. Leadership rooted in inspiration doesn't just achieve results, it elevates everyone involved, leaving a lasting impact that extends beyond individual goals and projects. Great leaders create more leaders, not followers. This principle underscores the ultimate responsibility of leadership, fostering the growth and development of others to take on leadership roles themselves. Many leaders fall into the trap of seeking followers as a way to affirm their authority. They equate having people look up to them with success and mistake obedience for impact. However, true leadership is not about building a pyramid where all power flows to one individual at the top. It is about creating a circle of empowered individuals capable of leading in their own right, both within and beyond the team or organization. When leaders focus on creating followers, they foster dependency. Followers wait for direction, rely on the leader for answers, and are hesitant to take initiative. This limits not only the growth of the individuals involved, but also the potential of the group as a whole. A team full of followers is like an engine with only one spark plug. It can function, but it will never operate at full capacity. Conversely, a team of emerging leaders is dynamic, innovative, and resilient. It can weather challenges, adapt to change, and drive progress even in the absence of its original leader. To create more leaders, a great leader begins with trust. Empowering others to lead requires relinquishing control and placing faith in their capabilities. This trust is not blind, it is earned and nurtured through consistent actions. A leader demonstrates trust by delegating important responsibilities, encouraging decision-making, and celebrating successes that arise from individual initiative. This sends a clear message: I believe in your ability to lead. When people feel trusted, they are more likely to step up, take ownership, and push beyond their perceived limitations. Building future leaders also involves providing opportunities for growth. Leadership is not developed in a vacuum. It requires experience, challenges, and yes, failures. A great leader intentionally creates situations that allow others to test their skills, take on new responsibilities, and make decisions with meaningful consequences. These opportunities are not given arbitrarily, but are tailored to each individual's strengths, weaknesses, and aspirations. By aligning opportunities with potential, a leader ensures that growth is both meaningful and sustainable. Mentorship is another cornerstone of creating more leaders. Mentorship is not about giving people all the answers, it's about guiding them to find their own. It is a process of asking questions, providing feedback, and offering perspectives that broaden someone's understanding of themselves and their role. A mentor leader doesn't dictate, they listen, encourage, and challenge. Through this relationship, individuals develop the self-awareness, confidence, and vision required to lead effectively. An often overlooked aspect of creating more leaders is modeling the right behaviors. People learn not only from what a leader says, but from what they do. A leader who exhibits integrity, humility, and empathy sets a powerful example for others to follow. They show that leadership is not about wielding power, but about serving others, making tough decisions with fairness, and staying true to one's values. By embodying these qualities, a leader inspires others to adopt them as well. Creating more leaders also requires a commitment to inclusivity. Leadership potential is not confined to specific roles, titles, or backgrounds. A great leader actively seeks to identify and develop talent in all corners of the organization, breaking down barriers that might prevent individuals from stepping into leadership roles. This inclusivity enriches the group as a whole, bringing diverse perspectives, ideas, and approaches into the fold. It also signals to everyone that leadership is not reserved for a select few, but is a possibility for anyone willing to grow and contribute. Developing leaders means embracing the idea of shared power. Traditional hierarchies often perpetuate the notion that leadership is about having more control, authority, and influence than others. In reality, effective leadership is about distributing power in a way that amplifies the strengths of the team. Shared power creates an environment where people feel invested, capable, and accountable. It replaces the outdated notion of competition among team members with a sense of collective ownership. Another vital component of creating leaders is fostering resilience. Leadership is challenging, and those who take on the role must be prepared to navigate adversity. A great leader instills resilience in others by showing how to manage failure, adapt to change, and maintain focus in difficult times. They teach that setbacks are not the end, but the foundation for future success. By encouraging resilience, they equip others with the mental and emotional tools needed to persevere in their own leadership journeys. At its heart, creating more leaders is an act of legacy building. The true measure of a leader's impact is not in the number of followers they accumulate, but in the number of leaders they leave behind. This legacy ensures that the work, values, and vision of the leader continue to thrive even after they are gone. It is a selfless approach, one that prioritizes the success of others over personal recognition. By investing in the growth of others, a leader creates a ripple effect of positive influence that extends far beyond their immediate circle. The shift from creating followers to creating leaders is not always easy. It requires patience, humility, and the ability to see potential where others might see only inexperience. It demands a willingness to let go of ego and embrace the idea that one's greatest achievements might not be personal accomplishments, but the achievements of those they've empowered. It is this mindset that distinguishes great leaders from good ones. So I challenge you today, whether you're leading a team, mentoring a colleague, or even parenting your kids, resist the urge to hand out answers. Instead, ask the question that sparks their thinking. Ask the question that builds their confidence. Because leadership isn't about what you achieve, it's about what you inspire others to achieve. And the legacy of the boss who never answered questions. It isn't measured in answers given, but in leaders created. Thank you.